Hey man, this is the elder. I'm not going to be long at all, but and I'm probably going to come back and just do a part two to what I want to talk about. This morning I talked about the do's and don'ts of a relationship, certain things that you shouldn't do, because as parents, there's certain things that you shouldn't show, shouldn't act a certain way, but also in relationship, there's certain things that you should do as far as to have a effective relationship, and it's communication, it's listening. Those are just a few things, and there's certain things that you just don't do. You have to be careful, because when you care about somebody, when you love somebody, you're going to respect them. When you respect them, you're going to listen to them. And so that was what I was sort of talking about this morning. But briefly, what I want to talk about, and I'm not going to be long at all, maybe 5 to 7 minutes, because I do have to go to work. And it's a familiar passage of scripture. And it's taken from the 13th book of Matthew, where it says that this man, he had these good seeds, and then he had these good seeds, and he planted them in this field, in this good field. But then he went to sleep. The Bible said, while men slept. And when men slept, when they went to sleep, that's when the enemy came in and sowed tares while he was asleep. And tares are bad things. Tares are things that are wicked. It's the wicked one that did it. And so I want to preface my thought on why while men slept. And the thing about it, when a person sleeps, that means that their eyes are closed. That means they're not aware. They're unconscious. And one of the reasons why, and why I want to bring this up, even with relationships and kids and grown folk and church and all of that, is because we just have to be careful. Because when your eyes are asleep, in other words, your eyes are closed. And you know what? Most things that happen to us in our life, they are self-afflicted or self-invited. They are. At that place where when we give in to our lust, when we give in to our own desires, we give in to our own anger, when we feel like we're right, we want this girl, we want this guy, then we give into it. Then we have to deal with the consequences of it. And so one of the reasons why the question I asked is, do you wonder why your life keeps looking like where things end up bad? Oftentimes it's self-invited. Oftentimes it's something that we create, because you must realize that everything we say and do in life is seed form. When we treat people nice or mean, that's seed form, which means that it's going to come back up again. Just like in a relationship or a marriage, if one spouse is talking bad to another spouse, eventually that harvest is going to come up, and that's why that spouse is going to respond back to that other spouse mean, even in a greater way, because the one planted that seed. But in order to kill or cause that particular type of relationship warfare to end, someone has to change. You have to plant different seeds. In your relationship, if you wonder why your spouse is talking mean to you, or your relationship is bad, that's something that you did. That's something that you planted in that particular field. And if you want a different harvest, you have to change your seed. And one of the ways to change your seed is love, patience. If you become patient, you become love and forgiving it toward that person, then that new season is going to come. But while you're reaping in that one season that's bad, just bear it, because you have to bear it, because it's something that you created. Then once that process, while you're bearing it and you're reaping it, plant new seeds, because every harvest has an expiration date. So that's what I want to focus on while men slept. In other words, when you become to that place where you become angry and you're tested, and when you become angry and you're tested, that's when also that silent voice talks to your mind and tells you that you are right, tells you to listen to your own feelings. See, the devil is always going to whisper into your ear things that are selfish. And also it's going to be unforbidden, the silent voice. The silent voice is the voice where the serpent talks to you, where that voice tells you, you need to do this. And oftentimes, just like with the woman in the Garden of Eden, when she was looking at the forbidden fruit, that's when the serpent came and told her that she can eat of the thing that was forbidden, that God said no to. So that's where that silent voice will come and speak to you. But when you sleep is when you entertain that voice, when you entertain your own desires. Because even with temptation, God say that I'm tempted. God tempt no man. But every man is tempted when they're drawn away in their own lust and enticement. See, the things that we go through and we deal with is the lust. When we begin to listen to that lust and entertain that lust, and then the harvest of that lust is when you follow through and commit that act. And so to avoid that act, then just don't entertain that voice. That's why the devil tells us to resist. The Bible tells us, God tells us to resist the devil and he will flee. But while men slip, see, just like with any basketball player, at some point or another, that basketball player is going to have a bad game. They have off game. And like the guy with the ball boy, LeVar Ball, his son, he was good all year, but when he played Kentucky, he had a bad game. And as a result of him having a bad game, they lost the game. And so oftentimes we have bad games in life where we yield to our emotions, where we feel like we're right, we're angry, and we feel justified. We become selfish. That's when we listen to that seed that's planted in us, which is wickedness, which is something that's going to destroy, which is something that's going to cause division, something that's forbidden, something that's wrong. When we want to cheat, or when we want to talk about the person that we say that we love, or we want to do things that we know that's not right. When we talk about the pastor, the bishop, we want to talk negative, or we want to chastise our kids from frustration instead of from love. When we do things that are contrary to what God is calling us, that's when we miss the ball. That's when our eyes are closed. We become conscious. That's when we become asleep while men slept. I hope this makes sense. I'm probably going to come back in the morning maybe and do a part 2 to even bring more clarity. But drop the ball. Don't drop the ball, because you drop the ball when you entertain that feeling, when you entertain those voices, when you entertain that urge, when you feel like you're right, when you feel like you want to cuss that person out. But the thing about it, when you're cussing that person out that you say you love, you really don't love them, because, especially when you're married, because if you say you love them, two become one flesh. So what you do to that person, you're doing to yourself. So that tells me, and that says that you don't love yourself, because you're damaging and you're hurting the very thing and the very person that you say you love, that you will protect and love. I'm done. God bless you. While men slept. God bless you.